Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are at the moment. I am in the United States. I'm in Nantucket. My name is Vincent Everts, and I have the pleasure to talk today with Pradeep Goel from SolveCare. Good morning, Pradeep.
Good morning, Vincent. Good to see you.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm in Washington, D.C., not far from you.
Okay, and sometimes he's in Kiev, sometimes he's in Estonia, sometimes he's everywhere, all over the world. We're going to talk about with Pradeep about his company Solve.Care, which I know for about 5 years now, 4 years now, and he has a vision to basically set to modernize the whole healthcare system, administration processes, make it easy for to develop networks of healthcare corporations with doctors, with patients, and to basically use modern technology. Just use apps, use good services, and also have the blockchain as a center of a single center point of truth. And you've been going on it for a long time, and now today you have basically told me that you announced something which we talked about for a while, the first open global blockchain telehealth network, an open network based with blockchain as a single source of truth. And we're going to get into that. We're going to also basically give a little review what Solve.Care is. But before we get to that, I just want to know, hey, you have a company. I know you basically helped with Obamacare. You started a couple of huge companies, and 4 years ago you started Solve, and then basically 1.5 years ago you had COVID hit you, and you are in Ukraine, you're in America, you're in London, you're everywhere all over the world. How did you go through COVID in this last 1.5 years, Pradeep?
Well, Vincent, COVID, first, thank you for the introduction and the invite to come back and speak with you. It indeed has been 4 years, very exciting, long, but at the same time, short years. COVID, to answer your question directly, was very impactful for my team, for the business, for our clients. We, as you know, have a global team. We have staff in 14 countries, but majority of our team was centered in India and Ukraine. The rest were distributed around the world. So in some ways, it didn't really change a lot because people were used to working remotely with each other every day. So that continued on. But there's definitely an impact on the people's ability to travel and be with each other in person. A lot of our corporate rituals we don't do anymore. We used to get everybody together once a quarter. We used to do our summer events where we brought the whole company together for 3 to 5 days. So those were, I think, personal issues that we had to work through. On a positive side, though, it allowed us to really think globally and execute globally. So we no longer have this limitation of everybody has to be in the same physical location. So we become much more comfortable with the idea that we, as a decentralized company, we can really operate well. And the world doesn't resist the idea. So it's been a positive and a negative for the company, but more positive than negative. Where it has been negative has been our clients. They have been hit very hard. Hospitals, pharmaceuticals, government agencies, physicians who can no longer practice in the clinic safely. There has been a real impact on healthcare delivery system. And that the industry has not yet adjusted to. And we are helping them do that. But there's a massive shift in the way healthcare is being delivered before COVID and after COVID.
Yeah, so I assume it has been good for you. So, yes, distributed systems are accepted a lot more. These systems are very tough. They basically are hard to change. But this was the best wake-up call you can possibly imagine, I guess, right? On the other hand, everybody was very busy with themselves, so they don't take a decision on innovation. And you're not like Zoom. Hey, today we're working face-to-face, and tomorrow we're doing it virtually. You have a system change. You basically want to make it much easier for people to schedule appointments, to get things, to get money things done. So has it accelerated your business or has it slowed you down?
Dramatically accelerated our business. The most single one-sentence statement would be that physicians that would not contemplate any kind of a digital health solution, online consultation, online payment, are suddenly not only forced to, but really comfortable with the idea that this is an alternative way of delivering care. So from a physician perspective, sea change. What would have taken 20 years in the normal course of change, a generational shift, happened in the course of 18 months.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, I'm very curious to see how that works. I mean, you have maybe you can give an example because I mean we're going to talk about it for anybody who doesn't know Solve. We're going to basically give a little introduction about it, about the company, and then go to this network of which you started. But I know you had a client. You have a client in America which has a bunch of hospitals and a bunch of doctors. Thousands of doctors and hospital. How did that? How does a big healthcare organization like that change when COVID hits? Can you give us some insight out of your client experiences?
yeah, I'll give you two examples. One, a hospital view. The other is a physician view. So from a hospital view, COVID was very damaging to their bottom line, top line, because on one side, the hospitals were filled up in the ICU from a COVID patients. The other side, the rest of the hospital was empty.
Empty, yeah.
Right? So revenue losses were in the billions, and they have fixed cost, infrastructure, salaries, equipment, leases, enormous insurance and other liabilities. And that cost didn't go away, but the revenue collapsed. There is no other word for it. So they had to retrench. And even as the hospitals are filling up, they're not filling up to the same level as they did before. So I believe our clients are facing a very significant shift in their business model as to what COVID will do and what kind of care they should be delivering and how the hospital premises and hospital staff should be utilized. And there is a general view that it'll take years, if ever, the hospitals will return to normal as the pre-COVID normal might be defined in terms of revenue. So there is a much faster adoption of digital health by the hospitals than they would have done because they previously would have seen digital health solutions like ours as a competitor or as a threat to their revenue. Now it becomes a pathway to surviving and growing because the traditional model doesn't work. And I think the dust is far from settled there. The real opportunity lies ahead in that those hospitals who blend telehealth, digital health, self-care, home care, remote patient monitoring kind of trend lines into in-hospital facility care will do fine. And those who don't will struggle. So that's the hospital view. The physician view is dramatic. The physician is reevaluating what is the right balance between in-person care and digital care, but more importantly, how do I use my time efficiently and how do I maintain a level of income that I am used to having from delivering in-person care? So I think the physician recognition that you don't have to trade off, that the old model again is going to impact their bottom line personally, and they can't really go back to it the way they were servicing X number of patients a day. On average, a physician could see 30 to 50 patients a day. That seems difficult to do in the current model. So we are seeing significant adoption of digital health by physicians as an individual practitioner looking to strengthen their revenue and to improve their patient relationship. Yeah. So we are seeing very different reactions. And then if you look at the third leg of it, which is the patient, and the patient is asking the question, do I really need to go to the hospital? Do I really need to go see the doc? Can I not do this on my phone or on my computer? And that expectation that now it should be a reasonable alternative to my care model, where I have to get in the car and go to the doctor's office. Why do I? That's shifting too. So we are seeing patients demand care at home rather than expose themselves to the clinical facilities have become risk facilities, right? You go to the clinic, the first question in everybody's mind is how many patients came through here? What's the risk of catching COVID from sitting in the lobby of the physician's office, right? So I think there's a foundational shift happening here. And I think we would be wrong to say shift has happened. I think shift has begun.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. So it's for the whole digital transformation. It has been great. On the other hand, everything was done so quickly. Let me give you a little thing which I went to. In November 2019, I went to China. November, so a month or two before, or actually maybe we were in China. And I went there with 30 doctors to study the future of, study the Chinese healthcare system. And and we went to a company, it's called We Doctor. And We Doctor is really your ultimate dream. They've been giving out, for example, this kind of stuff. It's like, just like a Google Home thing, but they give it out. They've sold 5 million of them. But this company has 200,000 doctors and about 220 million patients who basically get their healthcare through an app. So they basically go first to the app, then they can chat, they can voice, they can video, they can get a subscription, they can all the medical information, they can go to all kinds of different devices, and these 200,000 doctors are all connected to this network, and 20,000 hospitals are connected. And I'm getting now, and I've basically called in, and I first got an assistant, and then in 2 minutes I was basically transferred to a doctor, and I had a little fat thing in my elbow, and in about 5 or 10 minutes they basically told me that what I needed to do, and they said don't do anything, because I mean I had surgeons with me from Holland. They said, oh, I basically can cut it open, and somebody else said, oh, I can basically put a needle in there, and they said no, don't do anything. In 2 weeks it will be over, and they were right. It was really interesting how that works. So, and this is one company. This is one company. Oh, sorry, I want to see. And I have a bunch of videos online where they basically say 300,000 doctors, and they had huge platforms, huge dashboards there, where you could see what happened in all the hospitals, what happened with all the patients, what kind of online consultations were going on at the moment. They're raising money now and that kind of stuff. So that's basically, they had such bad healthcare systems in China. They could not deal with it, the old stuff anymore. They had to completely redo it. And there's a couple of other companies, but 200 million people, 200 million patients on one digital platform, and do all the scheduling, the healthcare information. I mean, can you imagine how efficient that must be, and how interesting all the data which must come out of it? And they don't have, and they say they're extremely serious about privacy, but I've never seen them being stopped to see a platform like that. So we went there with 30 doctors, and then we came back from China, and then a month later, everything started with COVID. So it's been fantastically interesting, and I saw hospitals which went from 20 online consults to 4,000 a day. Just like within 2 weeks' time, and I helped them do that. So yes, there is a lot there, and now is the fight. Okay, are we going to build a good platform? Are we going to use this momentum, or there's also a bunch of people who want to come back and they want to go back to the old ways? But in general, all the doctors say, hey, about 50 or 60% of all the visits I don't need anymore. I don't need. Please let me do it. And those are surgeons. I mean, those are people which can for every operation they do, they see the patient 10 times. They say, I only need to see them a couple of times. So yes, there's a lot of opportunity. Okay, let's see how you're going to use that opportunity by opening this open network. Can you give us a very quick overview of Solve, Pradeep?
Yeah. So first, SolveCare is a platform. So I will quickly walk us through that. So we are a platform which was designed to really deliver healthcare in a decentralized manner, where both parties on each side of the relationship, patient-doctor, doctor-specialist, patient family member, or patient insurance company, they form essentially private relationships or care relationships, and both sides own the data in a purely autonomous and secure way. Why is that important? Because in most of healthcare, the example you just gave of eDoctor, all the data is coming together in the hands of a company. And if you look at the current regulatory crackdown in China against DD and other large organizations, the number one reason why they're taking this crackdown, at least the stated reason, is that the data privacy and data use and surveillance and is a huge national security risk from a Chinese perspective and a societal risk. So our vision is to accomplish what eDoctor did in China worldwide, but to do so in a manner where we do not hold everyone's data. That we do not have the ability to cross-section and cross-review the information that is happening between patient and doctor, be it at the clinical level or the administrative level. So the idea of blockchain always was to remove myself from the room as the omniscient, omnipresent CIO who can do things that may or may not be in the best interests of people who use my software. So that's a big factor here. So SolveCare is decentralized healthcare delivery. So you could build a eDoctor, but you could build it in any country, but you could build it where the solutions like WeDoctor are not centralized in the hands of a party. That's who we are. But then we've done a lot of things that goes beyond that. We have built a standardized application called Care Wallet, which allows you to access any solution that is built on a platform. So if you think of us as a Salesforce.com meets blockchain meets healthcare, that's a sort of one sentence summary that we have arrived at as to who we are. Then to allow a patient to access multiple solutions or multiple networks on the platform, you need a single access point. So I wanted to take away this notion of building digital applications again and again and again that they look the same, they work the same, but are slightly different. So that normalization through a Care Wallet is the other big thing that SolveCare has done, where whether you're using global telehealth exchange, you're using diabetes care, you're doing, medical transportation solution with Uber, everything all comes together into the same wallet. And the notion is that you could be a semi-literate grandmother in a developing country, and you have a choice of networks. You can join the ones you want. You can stay in those networks as long as you want and leave when you want and take your data with you. So that's the very fundamental premise of SolveCare. So having said that, we've launched a series of networks over the last 4 years, right? The first network we launched was provider payments, which was launched in Arizona. Then we launched a transportation network for patients using Uber and Lyft, which is subsidized by government. Then we launched Team Care for employee wellness and remote mental health issues for employees. Then we launched diabetes care with Boehringer Ingelheim to manage risk for death and heart strokes and other issues related to diabetes in adult diabetics. We are currently working on a suicide prevention network for teenagers focused on India and other COVID-stricken countries. But the most important network that we have launched is the Global Teleconsultation Network. And that encompasses everything that we believe in, which is that no matter where you live, no matter what your zip code is, no matter what your economic status is, and no matter what your geographic constraints are, you should be able to speak to a qualified physician wherever in the world they are available right now. And that's really important. You should be able to speak to a qualified physician when you need one, wherever that physician is available, not just in your immediate geography. So the idea of global teleconsultation is to permit any patient in the world to speak to every patient of the doctor, every physician in the world, if that was permitted. Now, there are 38,000 potential combinations for that. If there are 200 countries patient side and 200 countries doctor side, you have 40,000 roughly potential legal permutations and combinations about cryptocurrency, about teleconsultation laws, about data privacy laws, about payment laws, and all that, to build that global version of WeDoctor is what we are doing and have done. So we've launched in 20 countries.
Yeah. So you have not slowed down in your ambition, huh? So first you were inside individual networks of hospitals and doctors and patients, which are already and insurance companies which work together. And that is already a pain in the neck. That is already hugely difficult. But now you want to open it up and have, but that's I can only start to think how much problems in terms of laws and legal issues and insurance issues and data storage issues. So how have you approached that?
So it's a very systematic approach. It is exactly the problem, and it's exactly the opportunity. The problem is that regulation around healthcare, around data privacy, around patient consent and rights, around provider liability, around payment models, these are challenging in a single country, let alone at a global scale. So we're using the SolveCare platform, which is essentially a relationship management platform, and configuring each care relationship, one relationship at a time. So for example, we've launched Global Telehealth Exchange in 20 countries. India is one of them. India physicians can not only see patients in India, there are treaties that India has with certain other countries where Indian physicians have status. In other words, certain countries in Africa treat Indian physicians as locally certified through a government treaty. So we were able to go in and configure for Indian physicians care relationships on our platform, which are India, Yemen, India, Sudan, India, South Africa, based on law. So the objective here is to be able to configure each of these 40,000 potential relationships that are physically possible in the world against the law of that country on both sides, patient side and provider side.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about so you've now made this, you started now this open network. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What does it contain and how does it work?
Yeah, so first it's open in the sense that physicians don't need to be sponsored by a hospital or a government agency to join. When they join the network, they submit their medical licenses and we get them independently verified by appropriate authority to make sure they are qualified as a physician in their home base, wherever they are, Nigeria or India or Ukraine, doesn't matter. Once a physician
what about Holland or
Holland
UK
well.
or yeah? So you basically build regular care. You build that for every country that you support, and you now support 20 countries, right?
Yep, we have built a physician qualification team that does qualification verification for every physician, and we use local support teams in each country to make sure that we are qualifying, making sure the physician is qualified. That's a key element.
And it's open, so I have a bunch of doctors which listen to my stuff. They can just go to Solve.Care and then basically go through the process, and they'll go, and then when they are Dutch, they go through the Dutch verification process. You know what kind of numbers, numbers they need, and you have ways to verify that they are inputting the right connection. So you can basically say, I have Dr. blah, blah, blah here, and he is verified as being a Dutch authorized doctor, or a UK, or an English, or Ukraine.
Absolutely. If you go to Solve.Care and just click on the Global Telehealth Exchange link, you will be able to sign up as a physician. We will, once we know what country you are based in, we'll send you your country-specific enrollment form, which you will fill out. It takes about 5 minutes, and you attach your documents, and we will pick it up from there. And then the team will take over, there are 3 steps of reviews. We do the initial review, then we have a local review by an authority, and then we have the final review by the quality team, and then we turn on the physician. But if you click on provider and go to sign up, and you have a very quick and easy way to submit which country you're coming from and what your information is.
Okay. And this basically, this is a multiple step process, and then basically you will, and I will end up being in a database of providers which are accepted by the governments which you support, the government healthcare systems.
Once we know what country you are licensed in, then for that country there are certain country pairs or country care relationships that, as a physician from that country, you can have. So we will turn on the appropriate care relationships based on your specialty and your licenses. Which means that when a patient searches for a doctor anywhere in the world, if you are in a permitted care relationship with that patient's country, then you will be seen on the patient's available list. But if you are not in the permitted care relationship, then you will not be visible to the patient at all. So the effect here is that, let's say you are a physician in Netherlands and you wish to perform paid services with only Dutch patients, but you're willing to perform pro bono, free services for patients in Africa. So we will turn on care relationships for you that will be specific to where you are allowed to and where you want to practice. So there are 2 rules to that. One is where you're allowed to practice legally and where you want to practice, and that combination. And then the payment is real time. The way it works is the patient, I can show you very quickly, the patient goes into their care wallet and does a search. And typically the search is based on, I need to talk to a doctor right now. That's the nature of the search. It could be also, I need to talk to a doctor within 24 hours, 3 days. But typically patients want to see a doctor when they want to see one. When they put in their request, the care wallet knows where the patient lives because the care wallet is registered to their mobile phone. We know which country the patient is resident of. And we will put out that request on the blockchain saying, this patient is looking for this kind of a physician at this moment in time. Every physician node will pick up that request and either review it or reject it. If the physician's licenses allow them to see the patient, the physician's availability is published to the patient. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. So patients only see doctors who are qualified eligible to give
Yeah.
them care and are available at that moment in time.
How do you do the payment, Pradeep?
In Solve token. So the patient has to pay using token immediately upon choosing the physician before their appointment is confirmed.
And do I, as a patient, just pay with my currency, my euros, and is it behind the scenes, or do I really need to go to the process of buying tokens?
Either. If you are crypto friendly, then you can easily deposit your Solve tokens into your wallet and use it to buy clinical care for yourself, your family, your parents, your friends, real time. And if you don't have Solve token or you're not crypto friendly, then you can simply pay with a credit card. We will then convert that payment into Solve, and we will hold that in the escrow wallet for the physician till they actually see you. And once
Okay.
they see you, the tokens are released to the physician immediately.
Yeah. Okay. And that's really okay. So I can basically, I mean, I normally, I would say 99% of the people are not interested in that Solve token. That Solve token is a fixed value, right? That's not a token which is the value. You have two tokens, I think. Remembering, you have a Solve token and you have another token, which is dependent on, which is more for funding reasons.
So two things. The Solve token is fundamentally our global payment model and allows patients anywhere in the world to pay. And this way we can show normalized prices in Solve token across all currencies. But we can certainly show prices in local currency as well for the patient's convenience. But in the end, when the patient pays using Solve token or they pay using credit card, which automatically converts to Solve tokens, those tokens then get locked in value at that moment in time. Whatever the price of the token in the market was at that moment in time, when the payment is made, is fixed for the physician. Any
Okay.
further variation in price in Solve token in the market is not physician's responsibility. We handle that.
Yeah.
So effectively, we are providing the physician a stable payment currency, but from a patient point of view, the price of the token is the price in the market the moment they make the payment. At that moment.
How did you? I mean, of course, having your own payment system and having your own, you have your own bank, you have your own systems. You have to basically deal with having your own assets, your own token. How did that work out, and how does it work out for yourself inside the company, and how does it work out with regulations?
So SolveCare obtained a digital exchange and digital wallet license in Estonia before we did this. So in effect, we are maintaining an exchange that handles all the incoming patient payments and all the outbound redemptions by the physicians. So it's our job and it's our ability, our algorithms to manage that risk. But we are essentially guaranteeing the physician that if they wish to receive a fixed value token,
I understand what your role is. I just understand. I mean, it's
complex.
Normally, you're a software company. You try to basically get people together. Now you have your own payment system, which is just normally you use fiats. But of course, this is very international. And Estonia, I also now understand why you're in Estonia, because they are a very well-regulated and reasonably friendly, but good organized crypto country.
Okay, very digitally savvy. So we had to build the entire payment mechanism to permit global payments, including the token acquisition, token redemption, and token transfer, token escrow, as well as price variation in the market.
Here's a question. It's a blessing for who wants to stay out of the mainstream care, but not only for those. But what about, you say credit card, okay? I mean, in Holland, there's maybe 10% people with a credit card, maybe 20, but everybody's using Ideal. Do you also will you also support other mechanisms of payments to transfer? So that credit card, of course, is only for a few people. And if you basically want to make it easy, then of course it's a high-end function. But also, are you going to support other kinds of ways to enter this market?
Absolutely. So we are currently, I think. Today or tomorrow, we are launching a new version of GTHE, where in India we are supporting Razor Pay, which allows instant pay, which is the most commonly used non-credit card based payment model. So effectively, it connects to your bank account or to your salary card and so on. And that's a payment gateway that we are launching the support for today. I think it's today or tomorrow.
Okay.
We are looking at supporting similar non-card based payment gateways. My goal is very simple. Not easy to achieve, but my goal is to make healthcare accessible, not less so, but more so. And if we're going to put up all these barriers to e-commerce that are traditional, such as credit cards or crypto, we are going to lose the rickshaw driver in Vietnam who needs to take care of their kids at 3 a.m. And that's the father or the parent I'm really keen to.
I'm going to get a couple of doctors sign up to this and see how the experiences are. We have another question here. Teledoc, what's the difference between GTHE and the Global Health Telecom Network and Teledoc? I have no idea what that is.
I have intimate familiarity with. We won't go into that. But Teledoc is essentially a sponsored network. It's a narrow network. It's a consultation framework where Teledoc has assembled a set of physicians. Those are leased to insurance companies like mine in the past. And I, as an insurer, send my patients to the Teledoc network. So Teledoc is a closed network. It's precisely what we don't want to be. So our vision is to take the Teledoc's value proposition, but to bring it to open network where the physicians determine their availability, their rate, their practice parameters, their practice perimeter. So if you take Teledoc, which is based in the US and is serving B2B market where there are sponsors of care who tell their patients to go see Teledoc doctors. So there is somebody telling the patient that you can go see Teledoc doctor, and there's somebody telling the doctor, you can be my doctor, right? So both sides are governed and managed. If you take that concept and simply open it up and you say, look, I'm going to let the physician join voluntarily and practice as few or as many hours as they want on GTHE and set their own rates, not Teledoc setting their rates, or not the insurer setting their reimbursement rate. And we're going to let the patient access the network from anywhere in the world, even if they're not part of Blue Cross Blue Shield or of Aetna, United, Cigna. Then you get Teledoc on blockchain, and that's what GTHE is.
Yeah. So I'm going to sign up as a patient now. When this network was started in July, right? I mean, it's now you have
4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. Yeah. So what is your goal, and how are you going to get patients? How are you going to get doctors? What is your strategy to get this known with people?
So the focus primarily is on physician acquisition, the supply side, because in healthcare, the most important thing you got to deal with is make sure that you have adequate supply when patient needs it. So from our perspective, we are focused primarily on physicians, and then each physician has a panel of patients. Roughly 2,000 patients per physician is what you would call the active population or size of the patient list. So providers can load those patients into Global Telehealth Exchange. That data does not get aggregated into some big database, so they have full control over their patient list. And then they can start building care groups to easily communicate with those patients in the form of reminders, real-time appointments, real-time payments, online consults. So we are basically letting the individual physician or practitioner, clinic, 1-person clinic, 5-person clinic. We're not talking about the mega hospital. We're talking about healthcare providers who practice individually, who want to practice individually, full-time, part-time, to be able to set up their digital practice online, get payments real-time, and not have to worry about any of the paperwork that they today spend.
No, I understand the proposition. I just more like, how do you get people to sign up? So here I've signed up as a patient. It says it will be launched later this year. So why is that? When is it going to open up for me as a patient?
Because you are in the US and we have not launched in the United States. The patients from US cannot join GTHE yet. It's 20 countries.
Okay.
The 20 countries that we have launched are very far-flung: Australia, UK, Colombia, Brazil. And we are expanding. The next round of countries that we are launching in is the 21 countries from Mexico to Argentina, the whole Central and South America. The next wave of that, behind that, is Middle East and Africa. Southeast Asia. So US and Canada are in our phase 4 launch. We are doing phase 1 is the first 20 countries, phase 2 is the 21 additional countries, and so on. And we're doing that deliberately. Our view is that we want to enable a very large cross-section of multi-ethnic, multi-language physicians and not end up competing in a hyper-competitive market like US without having significant metrics that support our use case and our value proposition.
Okay.
So we're going after
I find it fascinating. I mean, next week I'll be back on Sunday in the Netherlands, and I'll definitely sign up. And I'll also make sure that some doctors sign up, and we'll see how that works out. I, of course, pay my own bill here. What about, how do I know if questions, if the money I pay to the doctors is if my insurance company will pay for that.
So two things. One is that we will give you the necessary documentation that you need to submit to the insurance company for reimbursement, for recovery of your out-of-pocket expense. Depending on your insurance plan, if you have it, it will determine on the plan on whether or not they reimburse out-of-network consultation, but this will be considered an out-of-network consultation. But in most cases, at least using the US example, the cost of a full consult tends to be less than or equal to the cost of a copay. So a copay is the amount of money you pay, even if you have insurance, out of pocket to go see the doctor, and the insurance company pays the balance. And my copay, for example, in the US is $40 to see a primary care physician. And for kids, it's, I think, $60. But my full consult on GTHE can be 25 to 30 bucks. So the question that I have in my head is, well, if I can spend 30 versus 40 and see a doctor now versus see it in a week or in a month, then which one is better for my family? So we are going after that market. We're going after the situation where access to care is more important than the third-party payment. So this is one of the reasons why we are not overly focused on US for the first 3 releases. That down the road, of course, we will allow for, if the physician wants to sign up for billing to the insurance company on behalf of the patient. But I can tell you most doctors would rather not do that. Our value proposition is you get paid real time from the patient. Both sides are secured by the chain. If one side reneges on the appointment, the other side gets paid or refunded. Your transaction is secure. And we will make sure that neither side is able to, in any way, break the rules of the engagement. So that is how it works. So the answer, in short, is patients can seek reimbursement from their insurance company if they have an insurer. At the same time, the physician does not have any billing responsibility to the insurer. The only responsibility is to document the care so that we can bill the insurance company through the patient. And in future, we will allow physician billing to insurer, but that's not really where our model is today.
Okay, so the Solve coin, I can see this is the Solve coin. It's rather stable. It's going up a little bit. How's that been going since you released the coin a couple of years ago?
So Solve coin has been actually quite stable in the 22 to 25 cent range for the last 4 years. Recently, there was regulatory movements or confusion in Korea that has caused our token to come down, because South Korea is a really big market for Solve. And there is a new law that is coming out in Korea that nobody seems to have clarity on. So we are operating at a much lower range of price than we usually are. And we're not overly concerned because, this is a regulatory blip that will sort itself out. But having said that, Solve is remarkably stable, but on a year-by-year basis, it has been stepping up. As GTHE fires up in over 40 countries over the next 30, 45 days, the utility of Solve jumps by an order of a magnitude. It's a simple fact of more patients seeing more doctors, meaning more tokens have to be bought. And every time a transaction happens between a patient and a doctor, there's a certain amount of token that get bought from the market, but don't get sold in the market. There's essentially an accumulative effect, both on the provider side,
of course,
and on our side, and SolveCare side as well.
Yeah.
So as a result, we will see some positive improvement.
Yeah. So that's if this thing flies, I'm sure the value of the coin will be fine. Here's somebody say, I don't think my Aura accepts a telehealth bill. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try to basically connect to a Dutch doctor, get a consult, and then try to see if I can basically get that in there. So we'll see how flexible they are. But I mean, that's of course a fight you have to fight in every country. And but also on the other hand, it needs to be open and flexible. For me, I have a pretty good healthcare system in the Netherlands. If you're in different countries, there are sometimes maybe needs which are different. Okay, Pradeep, if I call you in half a year, how many doctors would you, what is your goal? How many doctors have been signing up to your global network?
So we have currently our target, we have laid our target by quarter and by year. And the target for this year is 2,000 physicians to be signed up. And when we say signed up, we don't mean just signed up, but actively publishing their availability and seeing patients, right? To me, it's not a matter of how many doctors are eligible to practice, but rather how many are practicing.
Yeah.
But the bigger question is how many countries are we covering and how many time zones are we covering? My view is very simple, that I want to be able to see a doctor at 3 a.m. if I'm in an airport between flights and I'm feeling sick, and I do not want to be looking at the clock to see who is available. I put a request out and I see a physician in the next 5 minutes, and that the person needs to be qualified and available and somebody I can afford, right? So that is what we are going after, is instant availability. And we are going after the guarantee that the physician on the other side of the phone is qualified, that they are qualified in a country that I'm comfortable with.
So building this vision and building this network will cost you a hell of a lot of money, because I mean you have to invest not only in technology but also in all kinds of marketing and getting people accepted. How are you financed at the moment?
So we are financed from both SolveCare's revenue from other networks, as well as we are looking to do a fundraising. In fact, I'm in Washington because I met with some of the prominent investors and regulators and government policymakers to tell them that I'm going to do a fundraising launch. And Solve will raise between 20 to 50 million to grow GTHE worldwide. We just finished our valuation model. We had a board meeting yesterday, and everything is now going to move towards a global telehealth exchange based fundraising round.
Yeah. How much money has been invested in Solve.Care in the last 4 years?
So because we invest all our revenue plus what I invested at the beginning, and plus what we sold in the ICO, all combined about 30 million we have invested in SolveCare over the last 4 years.
Okay, and another 20 million is going to be added to basically grow the network. Well, you have a big goal. And you've been very steady with that goal. I mean, you've improved the vision a little bit, and suddenly the open network is a new thing. So I'm very curious to see how you will grow. What do you think? Actually, the last question I have is blockchain in general. You know, this blockchain is basically, of course, supporting the whole payment system, but also to have to make sure that you don't have access to the data without me as a patient or as a doctor wanting it to it. How do you see that blockchain has been growing in the last 4 years in solutions, and not only in healthcare but all over the globe in all kinds of industries?
I have a very personal and strong opinion on that, and that has gotten shaped in the last week here in Washington. So I had a series of meetings with regulators, with congressmen, with senators, with other policymakers. And the number one question that comes out of everybody's mouth, whether they're from Arkansas or from Kansas or from California, is tell me about regulatory compliance of crypto and blockchain.
Yeah.
And one of the key leading attorneys in blockchain and in digital assets and investing, I was speaking with him yesterday, and he said to me, Pradeep, 99% of the digital asset solutions and blockchain solutions are non-compliant with regulation, SEC and otherwise. And with the focus on compliance, you're going to see vast majority of these solutions to have real challenges. And I presented to him SolveCare from the beginning, how we did the token sale with the Reg D compliant filing, how we made sure that everybody was accredited, how we followed Rule 144 to the hilt, and how we have been maybe obsessive compulsive about regulation and compliance. And he said to me, you stand in the 0.01% of all projects that I would actually consider from a compliance perspective as being sustainable and long-term. Now, that was the reason why we did it. I knew that healthcare is highly regulated, and I knew that healthcare is going to need somebody with extreme caution. So the point is, blockchain is not the question. Blockchain adds clear value. Nobody asked me that question. Nobody said, do you need blockchain? Because I couldn't build global telehealth exchange without it. That part is no longer the question. The question that everybody's asking in Washington or in all the capitals around the world is, how do we make sure that blockchain is used in a regulated, approved manner? And SolveCare passes that muster, so I'm very proud of that fact.
You've been very consistent, and you've been paying attention, and you didn't go for the quick buck. You have been going through to do it the difficult way in different countries all over the world with a lot of different vision. Okay, thank you very much, Pradeep, for that update. Good, it's good that the thing is launched. I will put myself as a patient and basically try the network, and I would ask everybody who basically does this try to do that. Just see how much it costs, how easy it is to get a doctor, and what the quality of the service is. We didn't talk about that. I mean, what kind of do you do the video? If I have a video conferencing visit, do you provide the platform, or can we use the platform we want, or how does it work?
It's built into the Care Wallet. You don't need to do anything else. You simply
everything is okay.
You make the appointment, and the physician will call you. Will trigger a video call within your Care Wallet.
So
and because the tunnel is private, you need to make sure that all the communication is private.
Everything is arranged. So I will try that, and then next time when I've tried it, and I'll come back with my feedback of my experiences. We can have in a couple of months we can have a talk again.
Look forward to it.
Thank you, Pradeep. And if you're on your way to Estonia, or if you're way to the Ukraine, stop by in Amsterdam, and we can have a dinner, and we can have a face-to-face talk. It would be nice.
Look forward to seeing you in person again. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.